Welcome to the Big Blue Radio Show, coming to you on Tulsa Community College's online radio station, The Grid, and on the Creativity Channel. I'm Lee Goodson, president of Tulsa Community College.
And I'm Greg Stone, provost of TCC's Metro Campus. Our guest today is Nancy Vitali, associate professor of nursing here at TCC. She recently completed a sabbatical in which she researched how caring science impacts nursing and nurse education.
Today, we're asking Professor Nancy Vitali about the science of caring on the Big Blue Radio Show.
Well, Dr. Nancy Vitali, soon to be Dr. Nancy Vitali, thanks for joining us. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
You recently went on sabbatical as a faculty member, which is a wonderful opportunity that we have for faculty members. Talk to us a little bit about what the goal of your project was and where you visited and what were you looking to bring back to students here at TCC?
Okay. The goal of my project was to, because I'm so interested in the experience of nursing faculty around the country and maybe a little outside of Oklahoma, was to speak to some of those nursing faculty and see what it was like for them and get some little mini interviews. And so over the course of my sabbatical, I got 24 interviews with nursing faculty in 4 different institutions, and those were Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton, Florida, and Viterbo University in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And then I interviewed a faculty member from Oklahoma University, my alma mater. And I also interviewed one of our former faculty who works in La Crosse, Wisconsin at Western Technical College. And the interesting story about that was that my mentor, who was a former dean of the University of Colorado School of Nursing, Jean Watson, mentioned to me that she had been to Viterbo University earlier in the fall. She recommended that to me over the University of Colorado because I had wanted to go to the University of Colorado. And so I ended up in La Crosse, or heading for La Crosse, and it occurred to me that my good friend Susan Goldsmith, who used to work here, was my neighbor on the 4th floor, was somewhere in Wisconsin. I forgot the town, and that's the town she was in. And the most wonderful thing was that she had gone through a family tragedy, and I got to be there for her, to be a girlfriend, to go out on the town a little bit in La Crosse. So that was really lovely.
Turned out to work out for everybody.
It worked out for everyone.
Yeah,
so
nice.
Those are the places I went to. Viterbo University is about the size of TU. It is a private Catholic college, and Florida Atlantic is 31,000 students. And it is not a Research One university, but it's the next tier down, very, very focused on research.
Interesting. So there's this term called caring science.
Yes.
And so tell us really, what is caring science, and what did you learn about it when you were on your sabbatical?
Well, caring science is, the idea came from a theory by Dr. Jean Watson and other theorists, and caring science is a human science. And by human science, I mean that it concerns humans as whole, indivisible, they call it unitary beings. And so we can't be divided up into organ system-based pieces, that we're whole human beings. And when we hurt, our whole self hurts. So caring science is based on that. And it's often thought that nursing, as caring being part of nursing, that it that it may be just kind of like parenting, like people assume as parents that we just know how to parent children, and that as nurses we know how to care. But caring science looks at caring very deeply, and in fact Jean Watson's theory has 10, she calls it caritas, which is the Latin word for caring processes, as part of it. And I have, pardon me.
Please.
I've been studying with Dr. Watson for 5 years now, and I feel very privileged to do that. She's a fellow of the American Academy of Nursing. And as a matter of fact, she is a living legend. I was invited to the United Nations last night, didn't make it, because there was a reception in honor of her work around the world as she meets nurses around the world in all the continents and talks about the caring work that they're doing, including the Middle East, which is one of the most impactful places
And is it pretty commonplace in nursing schools, the caring science, or
it's not?
Not.
There
Okay.
are. Dr. Watson told me that there are approximately 10 programs across the United States that focus on caring. You know, we're so easily divided because there's so much technology involved. And you've seen our simulation lab and some of the stuff that's in it, some of the electronic gizmos, and it's even more complex in hospitals. So there's a constant pull between the technology that's involved in health sciences and in nursing and the caring from the heart. And I almost brought my singing bowl, but I thought, nah, I'm not going to do it, because we come from the heart in what we do. And it's a head-heart. I don't want to say it's a dichotomy.
Connection.
It's a connection, yes.
And that was really the major purpose of your sabbatical, is to look at how potentially some of these theories of caring science could be incorporated potentially into our nursing program, or potentially share that knowledge with other nursing programs in the region. But talk a little bit more maybe about those connections. Like you said, it's such technical work, you know, the work of being a nurse these days. Not just the work, the calling, the profession is a very technical one. What are some of those sort of principles in action that might come from a theory related to caring science? What actually might that look like for a nurse who's in a patient's room in the hospital and actually practicing that kind of care?
As you're talking, Greg, I'm just thinking of I have 19 clinical students right now. Of course, they're not all at the same time, but what they struggle with now is that we have these expectations of them that they assess body systems and the way people function, and they're with the elderly right now. And so they go into the room with all of these pressures to look in all these places and get the data. And then I'm gently reminding them, but did you see his feet? They're really dry. Can you grab his lotion for him? Can you ask him if he'd like you to put some lotion on his feet? So it's that, and in the ICU, it might be something similar, but much more high tech, all of these lines are going and all these medications are dripping in, and the person's on a ventilator for their breathing and total life support. And how do we take a minute out of our time and to somewhere where that person is in there to let them know we're here for them, to reassure them that our heart is in the game as well as our head. And that is what we continuously, we work with that in the nursing program. And when we're in the simulation lab, there are mannequins there, and the students are constantly encouraged to look at the mannequins as human beings and pretend you're in a play and this is a real human being. This is your grandmother. How would you speak to your grandmother who was having problems breathing, was having severe pain, or who just had surgery? So those are some of the things, and that's included in all of the little maps that we do, that in all of the levels of the program, that do this in a caring way. Approach your person and make eye contact, or hold their hand, or give or use touch. And so it's a challenge.
Let me just jump in and say, if you're just joining us here on the Big Blue Radio Show on the Creativity Channel or the Grid, our guest today is Nancy Vitali, who is Associate Professor of Nursing here at Tulsa Community College, and she joins me and Dr. Lee Goodson here today on the show.
So we saw each other last semester while you were on sabbatical at the grocery store.
Over the sushi, right?
Over the sushi, yes, because I don't cook very much, so I have to go to the grocery store and pick something up for dinner. And so you were talking about the architecture that you have learned about during your sabbatical, because we were talking about what kind of space is most appropriate for teaching nursing students. So what did you discover on your sabbatical about the architecture and the space, the learning spaces for the caring science?
So, I look at those photographs that are on my phone almost every day.
Really?
And
Wow.
yes, the architecture, I'll start at Viterbo, although that was the last place I went. At Viterbo, they've been there for over 137 years, and one of the pieces of architecture that I appreciated that's not directly part of the nursing program was the Chapel of Maria Angelorum. It's been there for 137 years. They've been nuns sitting in this tiny offshoot of the chapel in prayer and adoration, Sisters of St. Francis of Perpetual Adoration. And it's a Romanesque chapel, and it reminded me of the National Cathedral. It just blew me away. It was so beautiful, designed and built by German architects and artisans, and that was very, very inspirational. Some people from the nursing program go there to meditate and to pray because it's just across the street. But the building there is LEED certified, built in 2011 for the nursing program, and it houses, it's 4 stories. It has a labyrinth outside it, and lots of natural light coming in, and places for the students to sit where they can study and just relax. There is a classroom that has 16 massage tables in it. It is, it's a beautiful place. A $140,000 grant was obtained for artwork alone in that building, and there's just a sense of peace there. As Florida Atlantic, the same way. But I was just struck by the way they intentionally took that space and made it a space where students and faculty could communicate, and that was surrounded by beauty, and had spaces there's a heritage center which has a little of the nursing program history, and there is actually the dietary education program is housed there too, and they have classes, nursing has classes in there.
There's a lot of integration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nancy, that description of that space sort of reminds me of when my dad was in end-of-life care, how important that kind of space is for caregivers, not only family members, but for those who are nurses who are giving that care, and the labyrinth and those quiet gardens, places to really sort of meditate and reflect as everyone together is going through that process. I'm curious about some of the stories that maybe you heard as a part of your interviews. Is there one story in particular that comes to mind? We just have a couple of minutes left, but I'm wondering if there's what's one of the most impactful stories that you heard as you conducted those interviews?
Yes. Dr. Christine Williams at Florida Atlantic University told me, and she is a director of a program where they actually have a day center for people with dementia that is run by the nursing division there. And she had the occasion to speak with one of the spouses of a person who comes for care on a daily basis. And this lady is healthy and active and vibrant, and her husband has severe dementia, but she is caring for him in the home with the support she gets on a daily basis from this group of people during the day. So it was the week of her birthday, and she was going to go grocery shopping, and it was customary for them to go grocery shopping together, and he would just follow her around. And he never left her side, and she came to expect that was his behavior. And she was going through the grocery store and looked around, and suddenly he was not there. And so she frantically began searching every aisle in the grocery store, and finally found him among the greeting cards. And he was holding a card, and it was a birthday card for her. And so she shared the story with the nurse, the nursing professor who shared it with me, and she said, at that moment I could have either kind of jumped on him and berated him for leaving me and getting lost and frightening me to death, but she said that at that moment she knew that that was the greatest gift that he could give her, was that he had the presence of mind to know that it was her birthday. And he knew to go get the card, but then it kind of stopped there. And so she got the envelope and got the card and said thank you and went and purchased the card as probably one of his last gifts to her. So what Dr. Williams was sharing was that this showed that the person was still there, and down underneath all the tangled neurons that dementia, that come with dementia, and that we should not give up on older people because they have dementia. And that's helped me in this rotation I'm in with students where we're dealing with people who have dementia as well, and I'm teaching them some of those stories. And so Florida Atlantic University comes from stories, and that's they have a different nursing paradigm, but it's still caring science. And it was also beautiful to be there too.
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
You bet.
I think we're ready for the big question.
Yeah, our big question we ask all of our guests. So, Nancy Vitali, if you could go back in time and give some advice to your 18-year-old self before you started college, what would that advice be?
Oh, my 18-year-old, I'm seeing me, and I have the mini skirt on, and I'm tall and skinny, and I'm walking the halls of Nathan Hale High School here in Tulsa.
Oh, I love that story too.
And my guidance counselor had told me, you're good at science and you like people, you should be a nurse. And that's fine and all, but I think I would tell my younger self to be confident about what I was good at, and to go ahead and pursue what I was interested in, which oddly enough was not nursing. It was journalism.
Wow.
So, and then I think part of my fear was that, wow, it's a very competitive field, and it's easy to get a job in nursing. And so, was it a cop-out? Oh, I don't know. How can I go there? But I would tell my younger self to be brave and to just go in the direction of my dreams, as someone said. Who said that, Greg?
I don't know, but whoever did hit on something important. That's because that's absolutely important, and it's great advice.
I think it was
be reminded
Gerda.
of.
I don't know.
Could be Gerda. That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you so much for joining us
welcome.
today. That
It was
sounded
my
like
pleasure.
a really exciting experience.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Of course,
I'm very grateful.
And you pass it along to our students.
Yeah. Well, that is all the time we have for today, but we do want to thank our guest, Professor Nancy Vitali, for taking some time to be with us today. We really appreciate it.
And thank you for being here too. Remember, you can find us every week online at the Grid, tulsacc.edu/thegrid, and on the Creativity channel. We'll see you next time.